I wanted to go over the entire post-psychedelic therapy integration protocol that I've created and I help people with. And there's different levels to it, but the main thing that we are focused on with this protocol is putting ourselves into a state of parasympathetic dominance. Okay, but we're not going to be zenned out all the time. A parasympathetic nervous system is that relaxed state. It is the opposite of our sympathetic nervous system, which is our fight or flight. And our cortisol is high, and we've got to respond and survive. And it is a state for high stress. What you learn from a psychedelic therapy session is you get put into a parasympathetic state where you are able to receive certain things that are beneficial for you. That is one of the powerful things about psychedelic therapy, and if you've done it, you know. So I'm talking right to you, so listen up. And if you haven't done it, this really isn't for you. I'm not making this for you. You don't understand it, so you can listen, but it's for us who have done it, who understand the power and the transformative power of psychedelic therapy. So anyways, it puts you in that sympathetic state so that you can receive things that are beneficial for you that you haven't been able to receive in your life beforehand, such as receiving, your faults. You're like, oh, crap, I really do suck at that. And that's been a stumbling block for me in my life. I see it here, there. And then, you can receive, wow, I've actually been through a lot and suffered through a lot and become really resilient through the suffering I've gone through. Where in a regular state, you won't be able to receive that. You would just be like, this is what life is. And you just kind of push through without kind of giving yourself a pat on the back and receiving a little bit of grace. You can't give yourself grace, right? So in that parasympathetic state, you're able to give yourself a little bit of grace. And we want to always put ourselves in the right position, in the perfect or in the best position to be able to reach back into that well of grace and self compassion. There we go. that compassion for ourselves that we don't always put ourselves in the position to give ourselves. Okay, so that's the backbone of this whole thing. So our goal is to integrate psychedelic insights that we have in our journeys into daily life by minimizing inflammation in the body, stress, stress hormones like cortisol, and unnecessary sympathetic activation from things that we're doing, while promoting sustained energy, peace, and parasympathetic dominance. Okay. What I do and what I've done as a personal trainer for a long time for people and as a nutritionist is break down the 80-20 protocol for what we're trying to do. And that's what I like to focus on with post-psychedelic therapy integration, the 80-20 of what is the most effective bang for your buck, get you what you're looking for without spending 2 hours a day meditating, right? And we're just going to focus on those high-impact habits, creating a core routine around that, while allowing flexibility for individual needs, right? So the best thing is working one-on-one so we can talk about what you enjoy, what's an easier way for you to go about this than other people. And I've trained so many people that I know all the the hangups that people have, and I've worked through problem solving those things for my clients. This is about a 4 to 6 week initial phase for habit building. It kind of takes about that long to form a habit, followed by ongoing maintenance. Daily routines include 20 to 30 minutes. I'm going to change this to 10 to 20 to 30 minutes of combined practices with weekly self-assessments. The 10 minutes is like for our meditation or prayer. The 20 minutes could be more meditation prayer, or the 20 and 30 minute protocols can be just our exercises, our workouts. People work out too much, and kind of like give themselves, okay, I got to do an hour of this, and it's just going to be too much, and so kind of that gets in the way of them doing it, right? The number gets in the way, so we break it up into smaller bits if that's necessary. But if it's not, you can get an hour of exercise. That's perfectly fine. Visualization is key. Experiment with variations based on how your body responds, your energy level, your mood crashes. Track progress in a journal. That's always good to do. That can be overwhelming, tracking your progress. That's why showing up every day is more important. Where the progress is just showing up, getting whatever you can in for the day. Okay, so as far as nutrition, the key is we're fueling for stability and reduced inflammation. Stability meaning emotional stability, and since nutrition is more important than physical activity when it comes to weight management. I'm not saying overall health. They go together obviously, but as far as weight management, nutrition is more important, because if you are in a calorie deficit, you will lose weight. And if that's what you need to do to feel more confident about yourself, then that's what we need to focus on. If you're overweight, if because a lot of people in their 40s and 50s, when they end up doing psychedelic therapy, or even in their 30s, they end up doing psychedelic therapy, they have not taken care of their bodies, and they've not created easy ways for them to keep that under control and control their nutrition and their exercise. So focusing, and we're just going to do the 80-20 of that. Like, we're going to break it down really, really simple. Our core principles here are eliminate or minimize high sugar and high carb foods to reduce inflammation, cortisol spikes. Now, look, a lot of people just don't like the carnivore diet, ketogenic diet. They can look at that as like, okay, that's kind of become a cult. And yeah, some people approach it that way. But what we're trying to do is minimize cortisol issues. And people who have spent their entire life eating high fat, high refined, processed foods are inflamed. Their insides are inflamed. I know personally that when I eat a lot of sugar, birthday party or something like that, or Christmas, I will wake up the next day, and wherever my usual aches and pains are, there's more of them. It's my back's more inflamed. And so I literally feel it. Now, the problem with people who have eaten a diet high in sugar and processed food, they don't feel it. It's become normal. So they're like, oh, no, this pain's normal, when it's not. So getting that under control is very important. And it gets you out of a state of like anxiety. Because if you're in pain all the time, it's very stressful. So we want to do as much as we can to eliminate that pain and that stress in the body, so that you can, integrate all the good things that you received in your psychedelic therapy. Okay, we're going to prioritize protein, and fats, healthy fats, obviously, for steady energy and hormone balance. Um, most of how we feel is based on our gut and our hormones. So putting the best combination of food into our gut for proper hormone function and proper bacteria in the for the gut to grow. Putting food in your stomach so the good bacteria in your stomach grows. That's what we want. Avoid overeating or undereating, right? Aim for balanced fuel that supports daily activities without crashes, right? So the crashes is what we're trying to mitigate moving forward because, and I'm just speaking from my experience, when I have crashes in the day from like a big meal or just eating carbs or a high amount of carbs, I kind of feel hopeless. I get into a state of hopelessness where it's like, oh man, I can't do anything. I'm so tired. Like, I'm not putting my best foot forward. I knew I shouldn't have eaten all that food. Like, why did I do that? And I just start second guessing myself and kind of feeling down. And we want to mitigate that. Like, that's going to happen. You're going to, eat a lot of food sometimes, but we want to start trying to be aware of it and grow there. Because when we get in that state, that hopelessness and that despair can create more stress, cause our cortisol to spike, get us into a state where we don't want to improve or do anything productive or do anything beneficial for ourselves or for others. So, okay, so we're going to avoid overeating, right, and undereating. So that part is just based on where you're at with your nutrition journey. If you are overweight and you've come out of your psychedelic therapy session and you're like, I've got to respect my body more, I've got to, treat this body better. Prime example, I sat for a client of mine. She did her first MDMA therapy session, and she had been obese for the majority of her life. And she had lost, my goodness, over 100 pounds, and just completely unrecognizable, and such a sweet woman, has such a big heart, and she got gastric bypass surgery. She got skin surgery to remove the skin from her body, the excess skin. And when she did her MDMA therapy session, she met different versions of herself in her life. The version of herself as a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old, a high schooler, a college student, a law student, all those different versions of herself. And she sat them all down at a kitchen table and fixed them a healthy meal and apologized for not taking care of them like she should have. Powerful. So, you have an experience like that and you come out and you're just like, okay, cool. What do I do next? These concepts are what's going to help you. Okay, key strategies we're going to work on. Whenever it comes to, weight management, it's a math game, and calculating your basal metabolic rate, your BMR, to determine maintenance calories is key. You learn how many calories you need to eat to stay at the weight you're at. And then if you want to gain weight, you eat more. And if you want to lose weight, you eat less calories. Very simple. And you just do it for a longer period of time. Eat at or slightly below if the weight loss goal, depending on your weight loss goal. Got it. All right. Limit carbs if they cause energy crashes. So that's the carb thing. For me, certain carbs, I'm dead after. So it just doesn't doesn't work well with my blood work or my blood. So it gets right in there. Sugar spikes. I feel like a waste of life. So test responses to different sources. Yeah, whole grains, processed. Yeah, you just want to test your foods out. But the best way to do it is to eliminate those foods and then to bring them back slowly. These are all suggestions. You gotta experiment with your nutrition and what feels best for you. Experiment with meal timing and composition. So meal timing, intermittent fasting, 2 meals a day, 1 meal a day, 24-hour fasts, stuff like that. It creates more control over your desire to eat and more appreciation for the food you're eating. And that's something that we lose in this modern age where food is so accessible. I'm not saying everybody is rich, but food is so accessible. And you can always be munching on something processed and cheap, you know. And when you are poor, I grew up in a way that most of what I ate was processed and cheap. You're creating constant just constant inflammation in your body. And, it's affecting how you think and the stress that you have during the day. And when you're always stressed, you can't make good decisions for yourself. So just trying to bring it back to that parasympathetic state, dominating we're trying to create more sympathetic states within our day, keeping that as the goal. Okay. Breakfast options, protein bar. It's a great option. Eggs, a scoop of peanut butter, or coffee with ghee or butter in it. All of those options, protein and fat. The reason why those are really good options in the morning is because you're not going to have you're not going to have a crash. And they're small amounts of food to kind of like settle your stomach, kind of give you a little bit of energy and get you going with your day. Because skipping breakfast can be tough mentally. So if you just give yourself, hey, 150 calories, 200 calories for my breakfast, just so I can have something on my stomach, that's great. What we're trying to eliminate is a 500 calorie breakfast. If that doesn't work for you, it doesn't really work for me. Eating that much food in the morning just kind of like slows me down instead of charging me. I don't want to be slowed down. I want to get just a little bit of boost. So whatever that little boost is what I'm aiming for. Okay, and we can play around with that with you as well. Daily implementation. Okay. Track your intake for 1 to 2 weeks to identify triggers, obviously with the foods. Sample foods, high protein lunches, grilled chicken, avocado, fat focused snacks, nuts. Yeah. Monitoring. Note your mood, your energy, your stress levels, your post-meal or stress levels post-meal. Adjust to enhance parasympathetic state, right? If you're eating a meal and you go into a lull, well, then we need to adjust that because, like I said, I know I'm not the only one. When you have that lull, you just don't feel like doing anything. And that's what we don't want to be. We don't want to be in that state of hopelessness. That's not for us. Okay, we can appreciate it and we can learn from it and grow, but we can't stay there. Hopelessness is not it's not what we're made for. Okay. So, all right, number 3, physical activity pillar. Build resistance through movement and sweat. Okay. Our core principles, okay, for physical workouts and our physical protocol. We're going to emphasize body weight exercises, calisthenics, over gym-based weights for accessibility and appeal. The appeal part, look, going to a gym, there's like a I don't know, there's like a fantastical idea in our head about, going to the gym and like, you see gym workouts and you're like, cool, I want to go to the gym, and there's an atmosphere there. But I don't go to a gym. I do all my workouts at my apartment with minimal weights, if any weights. And then I do stair work. I walk the stairs. I walk a hill. I walk a hill around just in circles, up and down a hill. So, you can work out and accomplish the goals that we're looking for that can help you integrate your post-psychedelic therapy without a gym. Okay? You're not Arnold. Okay? You're not a bodybuilder, and get over it. Okay? And let's be honest, why are we idolizing bodybuilding? It's just muscle. Movement is what we want to promote. And as a personal trainer for years, and as a wrestling coach and an MMA coach, movement, the ability to move and be strong in those movements is the goal. I would much rather be able to wrestle someone and be strong than to have a gigantic pecs and, big arms and not be able to do that. If you can do both at the same time, fine. You got great genetics, but we're not really caring about it. We want to focus on movement, because movement is confidence. Okay, we're going to focus on calisthenics, right? Movements such as bouncing. Okay, people don't understand how bouncing is such a confidence builder, just to bounce and to move and to shake. Push-ups, bodyweight squats, jump squats, high knees, a little bit of jogging, light jogging, some footwork, agility work, stuff like that. That is so mood boosting. Okay, so we're going to do that. We're going to focus on breaking a sweat and elevating the heart rate above 150 to shift from sympathetic to parasympathetic dominance. Now look, okay, with exercise, always comes cortisol, releasing cortisol, right? Because you're stressing the body. But the state afterwards of kind of, you're at peace with the chaos in your life. You've broken a sweat, you've got your heart rate up, you're feeling better. That's what we want, right? So we don't want to just stay in flight or flight all day. We want to create a workout program that gets us out of that and can move us into parasympathetic dominance. Now, a lot of times people go to the gym and just get more stressed out. They come into contact with people. They, people are using their equipment, or, they're staring at them. People are filming their workouts and stuff like that, in the new age, right? It's stressful being around other people. So, you need to take time to yourself and do quiet workouts, just like you need to do quiet prayer time. Just you in your room, you in the bathroom. I have moments where I shut the light off, I turn the fan on in the bathroom, I lock the door, and I'm just doing my prayer in the dark in the bathroom. So, hey, whatever you got to do for you, it's what we got to do. Okay? And when you go through psychedelic therapy, you understand, wow, okay, that's what I needed. Okay, how do I integrate that? That's a very unique thing I needed. I didn't know I needed. I needed it. Okay, cool. How can I get to implementing that in my daily life and growing with that? That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to keep the protocol simple and low barrier to entry to ensure consistency without overwhelm. People try to do too much, obviously, and they get stressed out. This is the beginning of the year. People are like, I'm going to go to the gym every day for, every day. And it's overwhelming, and they can't create a consistent effort Okay, so that's what we want. We want consistent effort. That's the most important thing. I've trained people 2, 3, 5 times a week. Let me tell you, the people that I'm training 5 times a week are usually doing less work than the person I'm training 2 and 3 times a week, because the body can't handle 5 hard days, especially if you're in your 40s and 50s and 60s. Body can't handle all that work. So we do lighter workouts, but we do them 5 days a week. If we're doing 2-day weeks, then we're probably going to work a little bit harder, because we're going to have time in between. We're going to have days in between the workouts for the body to recover and grow. All right, our key strategies start with calisthenics for quick wins. Okay, quick wins. That's what we want. Progress in push-ups, single leg squats, bilateral, both leg squats. And we just build that. We build up to 15 reps per leg or something like that. But we start with 2, 1. I mean, just whatever you need to do. We incorporate sweat breaking warm-ups. Okay. This is a game changer. Okay. One of the best ways to always get a workout in is to have a sweat breaking protocol that aims at 10 to 15 to 20 minutes. I'm gonna put 20 in there, because sometimes you have a rough day and you need to take a little bit longer to break that sweat. 10 to 15 to 20 minutes to reach the sweat threshold where endurance improves, where you feel like living. Okay. Here's the thing. Nobody feels like working out until they've broken a sweat. Once you've broken a sweat, your views change. You're like, you know what? I'm warm. I'm warmed up. I've broken a sweat. Maybe I'll do 5 more minutes. I'll do another round. And then you just kind of keep that sweat going. That's the key. Breaking the sweat. That's the key there. The examples of this, okay? This is the examples of our sweat threshold. We can dance to 3 songs until we're sweating. Okay? Dude, just hear me out. You've done psychedelic therapy, okay? Shut up. You can dance now, okay? Dancing's fine. You can dance, you can put on a song, and you can just move and just shake your body. Like put on a dance video on YouTube and just kind of like groove to it, or like put on some Kiss and just act like you're the you're the lead singer of Kiss. I was made for loving you. So, anyways, and just break a sweat. Have fun. That's the key. Have as much fun as you can breaking that sweat. Okay? Dancing is an easy way. So a lot of the women that are listening to this, they're, oh yeah, I'm all in. I can dance. The guys, give me another tip. Okay. Here's the other tip. Every minute on the minute workout. Okay. It's called an EMOM. It's an acronym. EMOM. Not an E-mom. Not one of those. An EMOM. Every minute on the minute. So for every minute on the minute, you do a certain movement or a certain collection of movements, a circuit of movements, and then you rest for whatever the rest of them is. So the timer starts, it goes off. You do 6 bodyweight squats, and you do 10 high knees, standing in place, jumping, one knee up. And however long that takes you, maybe that takes you 20 seconds. You have 40 seconds left in that minute to rest. Okay. And then when the timer goes off again, you repeat. Okay. So 20 seconds of activity to get those exercises in, and then you rest. That's an easy way to warm up the body and get to that sweat threshold, right? Break that sweat threshold. Another option, this is what I really like, shadow boxing to gradually raise your heart rate and body temperature. The best way to do this is to grab some 5-pound dumbbells and just, shadow box, put some music on, pop, 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 pop. Boxers have done this for a long time. When I was training, I love to shadow box. That's how I improved so much. Shadow boxing is very important, but it is a phenomenal calisthenic movement for you to break that sweat threshold. So then you're like, okay, cool. 15, 20 minutes of that. I got a little sweat going. I got my heart rate up. I feel good. Let's do something. Now, the point of this, okay, is our only goal with our workouts is to break a sweat. After the sweat is broken, after you've said, all right, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, I'm going to try to break a sweat. If you break that sweat at the 14-minute mark and you're going for 20, you keep going. You finish the 20, and then at the 20 minutes of your warm-up, you don't have to work out. If you want to, you can, but the goal is break a sweat. Okay? That's the goal. The reason that's the goal is because it builds confidence, because that's the hardest threshold, from cold to sweat. Your body's cold to breaking a sweat. That is the hardest and most difficult part of a workout, and that is where you build confidence. If you can break a sweat every day, tell yourself, I'm going to go from a state of being cold to breaking a sweat. That's powerful, and you can build confidence that way, and that puts you back into that state of receptivity. Like, I'm capable. You've given yourself a goal, and you've accomplished it, and you feel capable. Goal is resistance. Add body weight variations if desired, but prioritizing enjoyment over intensity. Enjoyment over intensity is always the key here. Okay, daily implementation, 20, 30 minutes, 45 times a week, or 4 to 5 times a week. Integrate into a morning routine for energy boost. So mornings are phenomenal for this, to start your day. And there's no gym required. Do it home or outdoors. You can track your heart rate. You can post activity mood is what you want to track as well. If you want to, adjust for ease to avoid sympathetic overload. We're not trying to work out so much that we're stressed. Okay, look, people have crazy lives. I train a CEO of a hedge fund. Crazy life. So we're constantly balancing how we're going to train based on his stress. And that's what you got to do. Number 4, meditative integration pillar, process and embed psychedelic insights. Okay. So all the physical and the nutritional stuff is done. Okay. Now we're talking about the inner state, our heart and our mind. Our core principles, we're going to use the 80-20 rule. Just like we did on the nutrition, the fitness, we're going to focus on capturing and reinforcing key takeaways from psychedelic experiences that we've had. Okay. We're going to incorporate 3 facets. Okay. Movement, breath, and mantra. Okay. Now, I want to be specific. Movement can be as simple as stretching, and most of the time doesn't need to go beyond it. If you're stretching and you're breathing when you're stretching, because that's the most effective way to stretch is to sync your breath up while you're stretching. When you go here, deep breath in, exhale. If you're exhaling, deep exhales, right, your stretching routine improves drastically. The problem with people stretching is they don't breathe properly, so there's no relaxation when they're stretching. They've never found that state of deep exhales that creates a relaxed stretch. They're just stressed. So when I say stretch, a lot of people are stressing right now. It's all about your breath. And the key about breath is always focus on your exhale being longer than your inhale. So a 4-8 is phenomenal. 4 seconds in, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale for 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That is going to get you into that parasympathetic state, allow you to stretch. Your muscle will relax, which is going to relax your body. And then the mantra, whether it's a prayer or whether it is transcendental meditation, or whether it is simply from the breath work, just the counting. Okay? So you've got 3 things. I forget to put that down. If you're stretching, we'll just do this scenario. If you're stretching, the movement is the stretch. Okay? You're breathing while you're stretching. If you want to count the breathing, that is your mantra. 4 seconds in, 8 seconds out. Or 4 seconds in, hold for 7 seconds, out for 8 seconds. Whatever you can do, box breathing, whatever your style of breath work that you want to implement. There's all kinds of different ones we can work on and we can implement into your personal protocol. That is what your mantra is. Right? That's where your mind is going to be. Okay? Now, for prayer, I personally will say the Lord's Prayer or the Jesus Prayer over and over and over. There is a tradition of Hesychism within the Orthodox Christian Church, which is focused on that silent, repetitive, meditative prayer, and mostly the Jesus Prayer, which is a very simple prayer. But it just reorients everything for me, puts everything into perspective. And I focus on that. Now, sometimes when I do transcendental meditation, I get a certain benefit from that. So for transcendental meditation, that is repeating a phrase, a mantra that you don't know the meaning of. Right? Remember, look what we're trying to do here. This is the 80-20 rule of all this stuff, okay? We're not going to try to overcomplicate things here, okay? Transcendental meditation, they charge so much money. My buddy went to the originator of transcendental meditation out here in the Northeast somewhere. He was training Chris Martin from Coldplay at the time. He took him up there. He met him. He got his mantra from him. Anyways, all it is a word or a phrase from ancient Sanskrit that you don't know. It holds no power. The point is, it is a combination of syllables and sounds, which is another language, that you don't know. So you have no connection with it. So when you say it, it doesn't bring up memories associated with it. Right? So you could literally make up a collection of syllables like Bambadi Budai, Bambadi Budai, Bambadi Budai, and that can be your transcendental mantra, your transcendental meditation mantra. The whole point is we're English speakers. Whatever I just said is not an English word, okay? But if you're repeating that, you're just focusing on this thing, which is not anything that you know of. It's not like you're repeating rabbit, 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 and you're thinking about rabbits, right? The point of transcendental meditation is to get you to not think of anything, to give your brain a break from thinking about anything. And the moment something comes into your head, like you're going bamba-doo-ba-dee, or whatever that phrase was, and you're like, oh man, I gotta go. You're like, oh shoot, I'm thinking about that. Let me get back to the mantra, bamba-doo-ba-dee, bamba-doo-ba-dee, and then you start thinking about, what am I gonna eat for lunch today? I'm kind of hungry. Oh crap, I'm thinking about bamba-doo-ba-dee, bamba-doo. That's literally the practice of meditation. That's all you're doing, is you're actually welcoming the distraction, because it's when you get distracted, you go back to the mantra. That's the practice. Getting distracted and going back to the mantra. To practice your brain on stopping that hamster wheel, that monkey mind thinking. You're actually giving yourself 10 minutes to practice stopping thinking on these things that you never practice during the day. Like during the day, your mind's just on all the time. You're thinking, okay, I gotta do that, gotta do that. Hardly ever do you say, okay, stop thinking about that. And then you go to something that you have no connection with, and you're just practicing being undistracted. Usually what you do is you stop thinking about that and you think about this, right? So transcendental meditation is just trying to help you practice getting out of that hamster wheel thinking and moving on, okay? Anyways, that was a little caveat or bunny trail. So what we're going to do, we're going to aim to reduce stress hormones through mindful reflection and parasympathetic activation. That practice right there can be all kinds of things. All kinds of things. There's Tai Chi that my therapist loves and my fiance loves, and when I do it with them, I really enjoy it. It's tougher for me to do on my own, but I do enjoy it, and that's something I probably should do more on my own. But whenever I see her doing it, I'll jump in and do it because it just kind of gets me out of like I'm gonna go box or something like that. I'm like, okay, cool. Let's just kind of flow and like let's focus on our breath and shake. I understand the value now post psychedelic therapy. So and you do too. You wouldn't be listening this far into the video if you didn't. So anyways, key strategies for this, we're going to document our experiences. We're going to write out positive takeaways, concepts, and insights from our sessions. From the psychedelic therapy sessions that you have, okay? We're going to write it all down. All the good stuff, all the bad stuff. We're going to write a comprehensive kind of like journal entry on all those things. And we're going to record it into your phone, right? We're going to speak your notes out loud, okay? Onto your phone, you record it, and then listen to it with your eyes closed as a guided meditation. Because like I said at the very beginning, this is all about staying connected with the insights that we personally have with our psychedelic therapy, okay? What better way than to record yourself on a voice memo saying, remember when, like my client, when I made a healthy meal for all the versions of myself that I didn't take care of, and I apologized. Remember that feeling. Remember the gratitude. Remember the grace that you gave yourself. You are giving that to yourself now. You can give that to yourself now. God has given that to you now. That is your guided meditation. Okay. And that's different for everybody. And I have a background in writing. And so I love to write. My brother is a phenomenal writer, way better writer than me. And but that learning how to write your story, super valuable and just so transformative. I mean, think about that. Think about you being able to write or to write that down and then read it out and record it and then listen to it for 5 to 10 minutes on the way to work, in the morning with your eyes closed, with a blindfold on or just eyes closed, stretching, reminding yourself, like, wow, this is what I've gone through. This is what I'm learning. This is what I learned. This is what I can grow into. That's phenomenal. Okay, we want to build a multifaceted meditation routine, okay? Our movement, we can have gentle flows, yoga poses, Tai Chi, walking, stretching, whatever. You can breathe. Obviously, you're going to breathe, but we can be more mindful of our breath when we're moving. And that is going to allow our parasympathetic nervous system to get engaged. Most people who are stressed, I just want to caveat here, most people who are stressed all the time, high cortisol, they're not breathing properly. I train them. They get out of breath quickly, not because they are particularly out of shape, it's they don't practice deep exhales. And do you know how you can't, or so this kind of sums up breath work. If you cannot inhale deeply enough, you will never have a deep exhale. Most people are shallow breathing all day, and then you'll hear them go, because all day they've been stressing. I am guilty of this. That's why I have to practice this type of work, okay? So that's why it's important. When you're stressed, you're shallow breathing, you can't deeply exhale, and that is key. But in order to do that, we have to inhale just as deep. Okay. Our mantra, we're going to repeat affirmations, repeat things from our journey, right? This helps me, improve the protocol and kind of make it more concise so I can talk to people about it. And then, so our breath, our techniques, we're in deep belly breathing. That's the only way you can kind of get those deep inhales and deep exhales is learn how to breathe from your diaphragm. 4-7-8, it's a great protocol. Breathing to enhance parasympathetic nervous response. Our mantra, we're going to repeat affirmations, lessons from our journey, prayers or transcendental phrases tied to psychedelic insights. Just phrases. Okay, our daily implementation. 10 to 20 minutes, morning and evening. We start and end with recorded insights. We can cycle through movement, breath, and mantra. So, put it to you like this. You set a timer for 10 minutes, right? You have a 5-minute note that you have recorded. So you set your timer, 10-minute countdown. You play your note, you listen. While you're listening, you're stretching and you're breathing and you're listening, okay? Eyes are closed. Moving from your other leg, stretching your back, stand up, shake, whatever types of movements you want to do, we can go over that, make it your own, personalize it. After the 5 minutes are over, you got 5 more minutes left in your 10-minute morning prayer practice, right? For that last 5 minutes, you can start repeating a prayer. You can start doing a transcendental meditation phrase. You can start just breathing and focusing on a certain breath protocol, box breathing, a 4-7-8 or a 4-8, whatever you want to do. But that's how you finish, and then the timer goes off. And that's your 10-minute start to the day. What a way to recalibrate and start the day right. Jump in the shower, take a super hot shower, sweat a little bit. I'm not a fan of cold showers or cold bath stuff in the morning. It's so stressful. It's so tough to do. And if you can do it, wow, you're a badass. Okay, cool. But it's not. It's tough. We're trying to get in our parasympathetic nervous system the easiest way that we can. We're not trying to. Yeah, this is about just making it as easy as we can for ourselves. You don't need to be taking cold showers and cold baths to become a better person. It's a tool. Okay, we're gonna monitor everything. We're gonna journal pre-post meditation stress levels. That can help. We can refine it based on what promotes peacefulness. If 20 minutes is too long, we'll do 10 minutes. If you can't do transcendental meditation, we'll stick with box breathing. If you can't pray, we'll do box breathing. You got to work on yourself and personalize it for you. Integration and maintenance. Weekly check-ins, we're going to review progress across pillars, adjust for what reduces sympathetic activity most effectively. Our holistic tips, we're going to combine elements, meditative breathing during workouts for synergy. Potential challenges and solutions, we're going to address resistance by starting small. Seek professional guidance if inflammation or hormone issues persist. That's something that, is probably not going to be that much of an issue for what we're trying to do. And that's, I know doctors that I can reference you to for that. Long-term success, view as an ongoing experimentation. This is your personal journey with your relationship with yourself and your relationship with God. We're going to revisit psychedelic insights quarterly to reinforce growth. And all that is just, you know, being a part of a group of people who know the insights that you get from psychedelic therapy are non-negotiable. They are so real that everyone here in the group is going to be like, yeah, it was real for me, and we know it was real for you, and we want to see you integrate as best as you can, because that's what we're trying to do too. And we're not pussyfooting around here, because we know. And I'll just leave you with this. This is the truth about psychedelic therapy that everybody experiences. Everybody goes back to those formative relationships in their psychedelic therapy. Their relationship with their parents, their siblings, and themselves, and with God. And that is where everything stems from. So let me ask you a question. If we're adults now, and everything stems from our relationship with our parents and how we reacted to it, whether what they did was right or wrong, how we reacted to it is what we're dealing with, then why not then of course we are trying to improve ourselves for our own children. Like I had my psychedelic therapy sessions, and I was like, oh wow, it is like those relationships are everything. They're not just important, they're everything. Everything I am is because of those relationships. And I was so blessed. And being able to give that to my kid is the ultimate blessing. The ultimate gift I can give my kid is to give my kid the heart that my dad gave me. The heart that my mom gave me. I'm very blessed. And I know a lot of people who do psychedelic therapy had very strained relationships with their parents. And if that's you, that's fine. But you get to improve on that, and you get to give something different to your kids. And not only your kids, but you get to give something different to people that you meet, your strangers, your neighbors, right? So anyways, that is the kind of the summary of what I do for people and what we're going to be doing together. So I will leave an email in the description, and if you want to get in contact with me, reach out there.